The White Sail by Louise Imogen GUINEY. LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. High on the lone and wave-scarred porphyry, the promontoried porch of Attica, past evenfall, sat he whose reverend hair down glittered with the breakers' volleying foam, visioned before him in the level dark, aegis of wronged Pandion heir and king, and round about his knees and at his feet, in saffrons and sad greens alone bedight, sat clustered in dim wayward sidelong groups sheer to the ocean's edge those liegemen fond who with him wished and wept. As through the hours of ebbing autumn on the northward hill lies summer's russet ruined panoply, knotted and heaped by the fantastic winds haphazard, while the first adventuring snow globes itself on the summit, so they clung secure among the ranged crevices, month after month, and wakeful night on night vigilant, ever neighboured and o'ertopped with that white presence and the boding sky. And Aegis prayed, "O give me back but him, my desert palm, my moorland midday fount, my leopard foot, in equal tameless grace swaying suavely down cool garden paths or into battle's maw, my lad of Athens, with bronze and tangly curls atoss to show infancy's golden silken underglow, the glad eye dusking blue as is the sea ere fiery sunset tricks it, and the lashes in one close sombre file against his cheek, inflanxed in perpetual trail and droop, whereto gleams laughter as through sorrow's pale, and anger's self doth tremble maidenly, the massy throat, the nostril mobile, smooth, the breast full orbed with arduous large pride, as I so oft have marked when from the chase the witness dropping knife swung with the bow, heading the burdened company, he came, aye vermeil with the wholesome wind, out wrestler of storms and perils all, high mettled Theseus, keystone of greatness, bond of expectation, stay of this realm, in his strong sinewed beauty, dear unto men as Tanais bright sanded, whose flood harmonious lapses on the ear, and makes for hearts yoke wearied thither roaming, thrice feastful holiday. Ah, righteous gods, forasmuch as I love him and await him, who from my youth have been your servitor, yield my old age its boon of vindication, heaven the happy ship here ere I die." Still, heedlessly, the hushed moon bent her brow over the unshorn forest oakery and the dense gradient leaves of Thore's pine. The cold and incommunicable moon, waxing and waning through the barren time that brought not Theseus' self, nor of him sign, nor any waif of rumour out of Crete, whereto a year nigh gone the ship had sped forlorn, her decks enshrouded in plucked yew strewn to the mizzen, and her oary props and halyards all with blossomed myrtle twined, and every sail dark as from looms of hell, in token of the universal dole, and on her heaved anchor and spurred keel cheers none, but protests, moans, and ire attended, when from the quay, in melancholy weather, forward she sobbed on black unwilling wing. But ere that going drear, one foot ashore, Theseus with his mild comrades hand in hand, the 7 maids and boys to bondage sealed, lifted his head and met his father's eyes, and out of morning ardour made this oath: "My people, stand not for our sakes in tears. No shape of ill shall daunt me. I will strike and overcome, Heaven's favour for my shield, and when engirt with conquest I return, or never else hies Theseus hitherward, that ye may read my heart while yet at sea, and know indeed that fate hath used me fair, that these your lambs I shepherd and lead home, lo, I will set upon the central mast the sky sail white, white to the hollowing breeze, white to that fierce and alien coast, and white to your espial, from the horizon's brink unto the moored fulfilment of your joy. Watch, you that keep your faith and love in me." And they believed and watched, albeit with dread, steadfastly without plaint, to soothe the king, who, taciturn and close engarmented, from his nocturnal towered station leaned, pining against the unresponsive tide. And through his brain with hum processional wheeled memories of Theseus, deeds of Theseus, the race he won of yore, the song he sang, his truth, his eloquence, his April moods, and all his championship of trodden tribes, since first he lit on Athens like a star. From Aegeus to the low-voiced Meta wed, thereafter to Rhexenor's daughter spouse, childless, and by his brethren's guile deposed, led by a last mysterious oracle. Once exiled to Troezene, wandered down, and there accorded Aphrodite's grace, to whom the sacrificial smoke he raised, atonement and conciliation sweet, begot to Greece her hero, and straightway bereaved Aethra of old Pelops' race forsook, by destined rumour summoned home, but with the auroral kiss of parting, he in the spring sunshine on the mellow shore laid his huge blade beneath a caverned rock, and both the jewelled sandals from his feet, with lofty exhortation: "Bid my son, when he, with strength inherited of mine, can heave this boulder, take the sword and shoon, and claim in Athens me his sire. Farewell." And Aethra bided, dreaming at the court, till from her knee laughed back her own blue eyes. And the young boy, loosed in sun-dappled groves, defiant, chased the droning harvest fly, or nicked pomegranates with his ruddy thumb ripe from the bough. Nor would his mother chide, but with strange awe hang o'er him, worshipping as one that turns with passionate praying lips east to the Delian shrine he shall not see, save once when he a turtle pigeon pent in wicker work of some swart soldier's skill, with lisping promise, aye, to nourish it, and stroked his plaining bird for one long day, but on the morrow ceased his fostering, and left his captive caged, the tiny gourd of water unplenished. Then the child bewailed his darling, lying stiff and mute, and Aethra held his innocent hand in hers with solemn lessoning, for she foresaw remorse, and irremediable ache, and ruin, following him whose manhood swerves to the eased byways of forgetfulness. She, his hot brows caressing, so besought the weeping prince: "If thou, O little son, wilt lay hereafter duties on thyself, stand mindful of them, all thy vows observe. Be a trust broken but a small, small thing, its possible shadow slaves this world in woe." And ere the dial veered, did Aethra speak his vanished father's name, and gave the charge, and led him to the rock, and in him fired the aspirations of his godlike race. Lost quite to former pastimes, thenceforth he brooded on her sweet chronicle, and oft burst through arcades and vaporous isles of dawn, and stood flushed in the rubious dimpling light, straining his thews at sunrise to cajole the granite treasure of those tokens twain. With his young heel entrenched in faithless sand, his cloud of yellow hair hanging before, tugged at the flint, or pressed his forward knee with obdurate sieges into its hard side. Anon, with restful rosy stretch of limb, plunged to the onset, hound-like on all fours, beating a moated way about the place where the grim guardian held a fixed foot. And ever, noon on noon, with petulant tears, stole back o'er vanquished to his quiet nooks. There would he woo his mother's frequent tale, and urge her gentle prophecy, that he, the kinsman of great Heracles, should too rise mighty, and o'er earth's fell odds prevail. Wherefore at waking time he plucked up heart to wrestle with the pitiless rock anew, season on season, patient. And behold, when the 10th summer's delicate keen dews died from his showward path, at last befell one sure Petrian tremor, one weird shock at his tense vigour. And ere twilight failed, Clean to the sea's verge rolled that doughty bulk, and Theseus, in his full inheritance, in superb meridian of his youth, sandaled the great hilt hard against his breast, climbed to his mother's bower. Aethra laid her lips to his warm cygnet neck, and swooned. There by a prize the destined hour had come, and having sped her boy upon his quest, drooped like a sun-void lily, and so died. Then radiant Theseus, journeying overland, all robber plagues infesting those still glens, physicianed and redeemed all realms distressed. Thea, prodigious Crommyonian shape, apt Circean of Arcadia, he slew, and of his dominant valor overcame the smith god's son, who with the mortal mace beleaguered travellers in Epidore, unburied martyrs fitly to avenge. He harsh Procrustes bedded, limb from limb rent the pine bender on recoiling boughs, and him that thrust the lavers of his feet headlong in chasms, Theseus likewise severed by dint of hospitable precedent. Wide Marathonia's lordly bowl he led, engarlanded with hyacinth and rose, to the knife's edge at bland Apollo's shrine. Last, guided to a grove sabbatical, knelt to the chanting white Vitilidae, and in their midst was chrismed and purified from all the bloodshed of his troublous path. On to the gate of Athens Theseus strode, docile to Aethra's warning, that unnamed and with strict privacy he should seek his sire. For 50 jealous sons of Pallas held the city's sovereignty, and overruled their father's childless brother, Aegeus old, whose wrath would rise against the tardy heir, tumultuous, and encompass Greece in war. Therefore, unheralded with wary step, chancing upon an open banquet hall, preceded of his fame, came brave arrayed the stranger hero, but erewhile a boy. And straight, along the heaped board glancing down, evil Medea on her harmful track from Corinth unto Colchis intercepted. This was Medea of the Fleecemen, late her tender brother slayer, whose vile spells had promised Aegeus princes of his blood. Stole from him at the beck of that mock moon, honor, the flood august of all his life. For he, distrustful of the oracles, inasmuch as Tozene flowered no hope, now in the season of his utmost need, subservient to the sorceress and her whims, blasphemed, in slackened faith, and clave to her, and strangling conscience made his thraldom fine with golden incident and public pomp, holding by night most sumptuous festival, feasting beside her, restless and unthroned. Now Theseus knew that wily woman's face, who, reading her arraignment in his eyes, shrank close to Aegeus, voluble with fear, and urged within his palm a craven bowl, that he should bid the young wayfarer drain, health to Medea, in one envenomed draught, which Theseus heard, alert past harp and bell, past intervening hubbub of rich mirth, and sprang to cower the temptress with a word, but at the instant sprang her minions too, and riot and upbraidings dire began, conflict and scorn and drunken challenging. Then leaped quicksilvered Theseus through the fray, with love's suspicion kindling in his veins, and gained that space before the startled host, whence from her coach Medea shrieked away, limbed and beautiful and clear from front to feet, shod with the shroon Aegean, and his arm sabred with the one sword that Aegeus knew, who, balancing 'neath, roused memory's ebb and flow among the wrangling merrymakers all, clarioned "My own!" and strained him to his breast. Theseus, in those fresh days of his return, tarried not idle, but with warlike haste bore down on the usurping lords of state, juniors and kin of his discrowned sire. Them, ere the morrow dwindled, he beheld scattered as chaff from off the threshing floor. And Aegeus, o'er the wreckage of their reign, exalted, with calm brows endiademed. Then was the sacred and sequestered prime of liberation, benison and peace. when the round heaven, in summer's ministrance, rolled on its coral axle till it end like to a cloudlet that assails the blue. Comely, and yet with reins ingerminate, Minos and Cretan unto Athens sent his nimble princeling. In a fortnight span the island lad, competing in the games, won fairly, whereupon the envious mob made rude revolt, and took upon itself the barbarous dishonour of his death. The vengeful Minos sailed and razed the town, laying the bitter forfeit in this wise: Athens shall yearly proffer unto me her virgin tribute of patrician seed, 7 youths and maidens 7, as by lot, wherewith to feed the ravenous Minotaur. Athens the peerless bowed her ashen head. So dragged the dreadful 12-month through the realm, I, of its dearest blood depopulate, and losing grasp on life. The 4th weak year, youngest of all departed, full 13 faltered aboard the deck calamitous, and with them Theseus, best beloved Theseus, the king's sole born, whom last the doom befell, but as no sister galley e'er set out to dolorous ports predestined, in due lapse returning with her steersman, went this ship, not hopeless. Now her bravest made his vaunt to thread the maze Daedalian, and destroy the pampered monster, holding harm at bay from the frail flock of Athens, and to flash homeward to chime of oar compelled waves, signalling with the white exultant sail. So that I live, this thing, he said, is sworn watch, you that keep your faith and love in me. Such tales of Theseus' youth his father's mind rehearsed, while at his vigil in the night, deep pondering on each noble circumstance, as a man shifteth through an idle hour, anon with hand in light, anon in shade, the lustres of his one memorial gem. And oft the king, with a foreboding throe, called, urging eld's unserviceable sight. "Shines the white sail yet?" spake the marine ring. "Nay, but fantastic clouds low wandering on." Then the fond voice of Ægeus askingly: "Alcamenes, yield my sad heart a song." Rose kind Alcamenes, who from his birth the king had cherished, from a mossy seat, the anxious faces turned his happy way, and with his pose quiescent, lyre in arm, breathed forth a simple ditty, sweet sustained against the diapason of the sea. Thy voice is like the moon, revealed by stealthy paces, thy silver margined voice like the ample moon and free. Ah, beautiful, ah, mighty, the stars fall on their faces, and warring world is silent for love and awe of thee. My soul is but a sailor, to whom thy wonder singing is anchorage and haven and unimagined day, and who, in angry ocean to thine enchantment clinging, forgets the helm for rapture, and drifts to doom away. But the king hid his brow in both wan hands, sighing, "That song at her beguiling feet, out of my brief enslavement, did I make the year that Theseus on our revel stole. It sears me like a brand with fires o'erpast. Be silent, my Alcamenes, spare it me. Thou rather thereon sing. Engird my pain with some thrice gallant catch, some madrigal that sets the dull blood dancing." Thereon smiled, making suspense, for he was Theseus' friend, half prone beneath his damask cloak, with chin hand propped, and fixed his dark eyes on the king in trolling of an agitated lay. I drowse in the grass to the cricket's elfin strings, with boughs and the sun about, with bowl and book, at the flood tide of my youth, in the pearl of springs. Cydipe's hand in my hair. Ah, horrible thrill! Once I was rash, once I was wrong. Quick, look! My heart in thy tremor, over the herded hill, in clefts of the moss, in swirls of the sliding brook. Somewhere the vengeance lurks to defile and kill. My arrow back to me somewhere hisses and sings. Aye, justly, aye, bitterly, justly. Steady, heart. There, see, I laugh as I lie. On the brink of the jar yet clings sweet foam, and I kiss Cydipe's hand through my hair. Again with swift, uneasy gesturing turned Aegeus, chiding and protested ere the whipped-up courage of that roundel's close. Cease thereon! This is but an ominous song, a song of retribution. For he thought, so retribution dogs my bruised age. Still, still Medea's soft and deadly name sings all the leafy splendor of my life, and daunts the morrow's bud. And if there be a reckoning I must pay for follies past, must it be? Oh, not that, not now, not here. And drawing to his height, he cried, The sail? Comes the sail from the south? They chorused, Naught save the argent flutterings of the shoreward gull. And Aegeus, craving solace, urged once more, Rhodalus, sing thou what shall heal my soul, in numbers honey clear. Now Rhodalus, the poet too, was loyal sentinel, a fiery patriot wont to domineer the moods of Athens. Very potent he, and flexile throated as the nightingale, with all his fingers knit about his knee, and head against a hoary pillar raised, dream-locked upon the lowest sprayed ledge, riddling the unintelligible space. Void thrones, and filmy wakes of fugitives, and interstellar agonies of midnight. To him the king's voice throbbed a second time, Rhodalus, sing thou what shall heal my soul. Who, grave with poesy's most candid mien, answered the summons softly, Sire, I cannot. The music of my brothers is amiss, so mine would be. Our strings are jangled, wrested from their discreet and silvern vassalage, snapped quite with languishment for Theseus' sake. I cannot sing. But oh, you holy stars, stretching to us your tendrils of high glory, tacit compellers of our wayward spirits, you domed guardians of this tear-bound earth, you rich-wrought visions, charioted thousands, hail rank on rank through warless cities riding. Young semispheric moon, O burning seven, Hesper and Phosphor, blue hour measuring orbs that elsewhere look on Theseus, speed his penance, bide through the watches with us, shine, excel not. And the dense quiet bound them. Cautiously in his far corner, one behind the king, at the dumb bursting point of that weird hush, with nervous finger twitched his neighbor's sleeve, and strove to whisper him with palsied tongue, and straight relaxed and smiled. But new convinced towards twilight's gracious advent, crept in awe with arm extended to his fellow's side, and the two thrilled alike, immovable, each palm down-roofed above the frantic eye, froze at their posts, which eager Theron marked, piloting his keen sight across the main, and smote his bosom with quick-smothered groan, and breathless gazed and gazed. By twos and threes the apprehensive company dropped aghast out on the reeling ragged precipice, sparkled and shelled with oncoming tide, till Aegeus, slow divining dupe of hope, awoke, and knelt him down against his throne, faint with thanksgiving. And the moments creaked in gyral passage like Ixion's wheel, spoke on accursed spoke, portending woe. But he athwart his lonely pinnacle called like a ghost from walled eternity, What of the sail? What cheer? Their lips congealed, nothing replied. The cruel hour rolled on, intolerable arid east-blown wave, vaulting on the wave through all her caverns loud. Far upon Olarius boomed the sea. Then bearded Rhodalus, compassionate, spied leaning o'er the crags the frenzied king, rending his garment to the paling moon, and yet evasive of those pleading eyes, knotting his arms against his breast, downcast, adjured him, "O most reverend, O most dear, the heart of life is rotten, prayer is vain, stay up thy soul, for lo, the sail is black," and all the tranced host burst into moan. Old Aegeus like a dreamer muttered, "Ay." Passive, and from his brain the fever fell, and more than Zeus himself he things unseen saw, and to unheard choirings lent his ear. Theseus, truth-speaking, vowed the sky sail white. The sail was black. Therefore was Theseus dead in untriumphant state. His comrades dead. Dead the emprise of Greece, her dynasty ungendered, dead. The very gods were dead, and he alive, alive? A wind-worn leaf, all winter gibbeted upon that bough whence the last fruit was reft. Oh, mockery! Inert of his own broken heart impelled from the steep solitary trysting place, King Aegeus like a stone dropped in the sea. A wraith of smoke, fast driven against a flame, yon by the crimsoning east the dark ship moved, her herald noises strangely borne ashore. Joy, joy, and interlinked, oh joy, oh joy! Athens, our mother, joy to all thy gates! And thunderous firm acclaim of minstrelsy, laughter, and antheming, and salvos wild outran the racing prow. But mute they lay, the blinded watchers, spent beyond desire, wounded beyond this wonder's balsaming. Yet ever through the trembling lovely light, known voice on voice, re-echoed face on face, uprose in resurrection. They were safe, and Athens, hark, from her long thraldom free, and Theseus victor sang and sailed with them the pale unsistered Phaedra for his bride, for whom was constant Ariadne cast on Naxos, where a god did comfort her. Theseus, who when his bark the shallows grazed, leaped in the gentle waves for boyish glee, gained the thronged highway, crossed it at a bound, scaling the cliffs, and stood among them there, Clausus and his dear Theron and the rest, nodding upon the clamorous crowd below. But they as soon had turned them blunt away, in hot resentment of that false one, he o'erbrimming with frank welcomes, in dismay, stricken with sight of unresponsive hands, scenting disaster, reining up his tongue, asked sharply for the king. He understood after mad struggle and bewilderment, and gloomy gazing on the absent deeps. Down on the penitential rock he sank, all his fair body palpitant with shame, syllabing agony, "Aegeus, Aegeus, ah, glory of Hellas, dead for trust in me, life-giver, irrevocable friend, my father, ah, ah, loving father mine, ah, dear my father, I forgot the sail." And the great morn burst. On 100 hills the marigold unbarred her casement bright. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Tarpeia by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Curt Troutwine. Woe, lightly to part with one's soul as the sea with its foam. Woe to Tarpeia, Tarpeia, daughter of Rome. Lo, now it was night, with the moon looking chill as she went. It was morn when the innocent stranger strayed into the tent. The hostile Sabini were pleased, as one meshing a bird. She sang for them there in the ambush. They smiled as they heard. Her sombre hair purpled in gleams as she leaned to the light. All day she had idled and feasted, and now it was night. The chiefs sat apart, heavy-browed, brooding elbow on knee, The armlets he wore were thrice royal, and wondrous to see. Exquisite artifice, whirls of barbaric design, frost's fixed mimicry, orbic imagings fine. In sevenfold coils, and an orient glimmer from them, the very form voluble swinging of gem upon gem. And the glory thereof sent fever and fire to her eye. I had never such trinklets, she sighed, like a lute was her sigh. Were they mine at the plea? Were they mine for the token, all told? Now the citadel sleeps, now my father the keeper is old. If I go by the way that I know, and thou followest hard, if yet at the touch of Tarpeia the gates be unbarred? The chief trembled sharply for joy, then drew rein on his soul. Of all this arm beareth, I swear I will see thee the whole. And up from the nooks of the camp, with horse plotted out dealt, the bearded Sembini glanced hotly, and vowed as they knelt, bare stretching the wrist that bore also the glowing great boon. Yea, surely as over the shineth the lurid low moon. Not alone of our Lord, but of each of us take what he hath. Too poor is the guardian, if thou wilt but show us the path. Her nostril upraised like a fawn's in the arrowy air, she sped, in the serpentine gleam to the precipice stair. They climbed in her traces, they closed on their evil swift star. She bent to the latches and swung the huge portal ajar. Repulsed where they passed her, half tearful for wounded belief. The bracelets, she pleaded. Then faced her the leonine chief, and answered her, even as I promised, maid merchant, I do. Down from his dark shoulder the baubles he sullenly drew. This left arm shall nothing begrudge thee, except find it sweet. Give, too, O my brothers, the jewels he flung at her feet. The jewels, hard, heavy, she stooped to them, flushing with dread. But the shield he flung after, it clanged on her beautiful head. Like the Apennine bells when the villagers' warnings begin, athwart the first lull broke the ominous din upon din. With a hail benefactress, upon her they heaped in their zeal. Death, agate and iron, death, chrysoprase, beryl and steel. Neath the outcry of scorn, neath the sinewy tension and hurl, the moaning died slowly, and still they massed over the girl. A mountain of shields, and the gemmy bright tangle in links, a torrent-like gush pouring out on the grass from the chinks. Pyramidal gold, the sumptuous moment won, by the deed they had loved her for, doing, and loathed her for, done. Such was the wage that they paid her, such the acclaim. All Rome was aroused with the thunder that buried her shame. On surged the Sabini to battle. O you that aspire, Tarpeia the traitor had fill of her woman's desire. Woe! Lightly to part with one's soul as the sea with its foam. Woe to Tarpeia, Tarpeia, daughter of Rome. End of poem. This recording and poem are in the public domain.
White Sail by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox by Mallozzi, October 24th, 2017, Massachusetts. The Caliph and the Beggar. 1. Scorner of the pleading faces, in the first year of his reign, from the lean crowd and its traces, down the open orchard lane walked young Mahmud in his glory, in his pomp and his disdain, and beyond all oratory. Music's sweetness, ocean's might, fell a voice from branches hoary. He whose heart is at life's height, who has wisdom, love, and riches, Islam's greatest, dies this night. And he crossed the rampart ditches, blinded and confused and slow. High in palace nooks and niches clanged his father's shields a row, and their turret triple-jointed shook with tempests of his woe. Long past midnight, disanointed, prone upon his breast he lay, warring on that hour appointed. But behold, at break of day, as if heaven itself had spoken, blown across the bannered bay, over mart and mosque outbroken, came the silver solemn chime for some parted spirit's token. Mahmud, with free breath sublime, summoned one whose snow locks heaving made the vision of wartime. And the red tides of thanksgiving on his lifted brow, he said, In my city of the living, which, proclaimed of bells, is dead. And the greybeard answered, Master, one who yesternight for bread at thy gateway's bronze pilaster begged in vain, blind Selim, he, victim of the old disaster. And the vassal suddenly looked on his hard lord with wonder, for those tears were strange to see. 2. Yet again, where boughs asunder held the wavy orchard tent, sun-empurpled clusters under in changed mood the Caliph went, and anew heard sounds upgather, chidings with caressings blent as the voice once of his father. Haughty heart, not thou wert wise, rich, beloved, Selim rather Islam's prince in Allah's eyes. Even the meek in his great station freehold had of paradise. 3. When the plague wind's desolation pierced Bassora's burning wall, circled with a kneeling nation whom his mercies held in thrall, died the Caliph, whispering tender counsel to his liegemen tall. One last service, children, render me, whose pride the Lord forgave, not by our supreme defender, not beside the holy wave, not in places where my race is lay me, but in Selim's grave. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Rise of the Tide by Louise Imogen GUINEY, read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. The Rise of the Tide. A fisherman grey, one night of yore, his nets upgathered, plied the oar, right merrily heading for a haven, while summer winds blew blithe before. He sat beneath his pennon white, his arms were brown, his eye was bright. Twice 20 years his breast had carried a ribbon from Lepanto's fight. A cove he spied at sunset's edge, with pleasant trees and margin sedge, and barefoot went by stakes down driven through shallows wading from the ledge. The boat drawn after, but behold, a check fell on his venture bold. He stood imprisoned, vainly leading the ropes in whitening fingers old. Within that black and marshy sound his weight had sunken, he was bound knee deep, and as he beat and struggled the mocking ripples danced around. Long since the wood thrush ceased her song, the summer wind grew fierce and strong, the shuddering moon went into hiding, down came the storm to wreak him wrong. Against the prow he leaned his chin, thinking of all his strength had been, then turned and laughed with courage steady. Oh ho, what straits we twain are in! And strove anew, unterrified, but lastly, wearied wholly, cried for succour, since his laden wherry rocked ever on the coming tide. I hear a cry of anguish sore, but straight his love had barred the door. Bide here, the night bodes naught but danger. Loud beat the waves along the shore. A bedded child made soft behest, so loud the voice I cannot rest. It is the rain, dear, in the garden. The cruel water binds his breast. A lamp, some traveller's lost! But through the tavern roared the host. Nay, only thunder rude and heavy. Close to his lips the foam is tossed. Oh, listen well, my liege and king! Hark from gay halls this grievous thing! Strange how the wild wind drowns our music. About his head the eddies swing. At stroke of 3 the abbot meek moved out among his flock to speak this word with tears of doubt and wonder. I had a dream, come forth and seek. With torch and flagon forth they sped. The fisher glared from the harbour bed. The tide, from his white hair down fallen, all kindly ebbed. Now he was dead. Lepanto's star shone fast and good. The sea kelp wrapped him like a hood. His arms were stretched in woe to heaven. The boat had drifted, so he stood. The unavenged he seemed to be. Then fell each monk upon his knee. Lord Christ, the abbot sang, awe-stricken, rest my old rival's soul, sang he. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Chaluz Castle by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. Chaluz Castle. There sped, at hint of treasure, dug from the garden mould, word to the doughty vessel, thy sovereign claims the gold. Nay, Richard, come and wrest it, said Vidomar the bold. Uprose the lion-hearted, he locked his armour on, and over seas that morrow around his gonfalon the crash and hiss of battle blazed up and mocked the sun. King Richard led his bowmen by Chaluz, dark and high, like rain and wreck they followed his flashing storm-blue eye. Forth peered Bertrand de Gourdon from the turret stair thereby. Through morrice pikes and halberds the king rode out and in, his horse in gaudy trappings, his sabre drawn and thin. Down knelt Bertrand de Gourdon, his strongbow at his chin. Oh, shrill that arrow quivered, and fierce and awful broke acclaim in billowy thunder from all the foreign folk, at mighty Richard fallen beneath a foreign oak. Then leaped his English barons, converging from afar, and loosed the flood of slaughter to the gates of Vidomar, and seized Bertrand de Gourdon, as clouds enmesh a star. They brought the bright-cheeked archer, who scoffed not, neither feared, to the tent ringed in with faces that menaced in their beard. But the king's face lay before him in the lamplight semi-sphered. The king's self, stern and pallid, gazed on the lad that day, and as if dreams were on him, besought him gently, say, Bertrand de Gourdon, wherefore thou tak'st my life away? To venge my martyr father, my foster brethren three, in the name of thy dead foeman, this thing I did to thee. And Richard perished, sighing, forgive him, set him free. Alas for that late loving, by seneschals betrayed, while yet upon his lashes the holy tear delayed. They bound Bertrand de Gourdon, they slew him in the glade. Alas for noble spirits, whom fates perverse befall, whence David in his beauty gave healing unto Saul. The jeering wind beats ever on Chaluz Castle wall. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Wooing Pine by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Melanie T. There was a lady, starshine in her look, of lineage fierce, yet tremulous and kind, as the field gossamer, that down the wind floats gleamingly from some enthistled nook, and wayward as her beauty was her mind, that evermore bright errant journeys took. Her father's houndish lord she moved among, from feud and uproar dually distraught, winnowed her harp of its least pain, and brought delights full freshet to a beggar's tongue, or spun amid her maids with chapel fort, that on a crystal pivot burned and swung. But night on night, an exile from sleek rest, she nestled warm before her hearth-fire low, to watch its little wind-borne planets go, orbing, and from the martyr oak's charred breast, in spirit-blue flame, in quintuple wind glow, the tossing leaves prolong their summer zest. And ailingly she needs must often sigh, perplexed out of her rich and wonted glee, whereof some unseen warder kept the key, and quell the dark defiance of her eye, in patience as a torch dips in the sea, and so in brooding went the white days by. And to the horsemen brave in war's array she waved no token from her latticed house, nor yet of princelings bare upon her brows love's salutation, but from such as they turned as a shy brook wheels from jutting boughs, and in a sidelong glimmer sobs away. Her sealed sense beheld no man, nor heard, nor lent its troth to any mortal bond, but lived heartful of vital light beyond, and with miraculous tides of being stirred, lingering though eager till the forest fond winged to its own pure peace this homing bird. For, sad with reins of unrevealed desire, and heavy with predestined glory's beam, she to the water-girdled woods extreme stole from her suitor's pleas, her father's ire, far from their brambly ways to sit and dream, and make sweet plaint in daylight's dying fire. When, one with lilt of her own veins there rose, across remote and jasmine-pillared space, a voice of so persuasive, piteous grace, that all her globed sorrow did unclose to fragrant helpfulness in that still place, and sought in tears the breather of such woes. And peering of the level shafted sun, evasive listening from a mossy knoll, to kindling quiet sank her gentle soul, in awe at some high venture to be done, as when out peals from fame's coercive pole, too soon on ears too weak her clarion. Burst in the golden air a wide and deep torrent of harmony, that with clang and shook might wreck a pinnace on an Afric rock, and on the ruin foamily o'erheap bright reparation. 'Twas a strength to mock itself with swoons and idle sobs and sleep. A splendour hoary pine of kingliest cheer, enrooted 'neath her thrilling footfall stood, suffused with youth and gracious hardihood, sown of the wind from heaven's memorial sphere, with the red might of centuries in his blood, unscarred and straight against the battling year, from whose great heart those noble accents flowed, and from the melancholy arms outspread, whereon the aching winter long had snowed, come, sister, spouse, whom love hath strangely led from bondage, come. And her most blessed head she laid upon his breast as her abode. O wonderful to hearing, touch, and gaze, this was of soul's unrest and spirit's scar, solving and healing this the late full star, superillumining the hither ways, and the old blind allegiance set ajar, like a dark door against its flooded rays. All intertangled fell their dusky hair in tender twilight's bowery recess, and that fair bride of her heart's heaviness was disenthralled in love's Lethean air, where orchids hung upon the wind's caress, and the first tawny lily made her lair. Dear minions served them in the covert green, the squirrel coy, the beetle in his mail, the moth, the bee, the throbbing nightingale, and the gaunt wolf, their vassal, to them e'en, the widowed serpent on her vengeful trail, upcast an iridescent eye serene. The last tired envoy from the realm bereaved blew at the drawbridge, riding castlewards. The fisher folk along the beechen shards pierced, calling, the cool thickets sylvan leaved, and grandams meagre and road roaming bards shared her sad theme, for whom men vainly grieved. But lad and lass, with parted mouth abloom, who strayed thereby in April's misty prime, a vision freshening to the aftertime, caught through the rifts of uninvaded gloom a maiden, honey-lipped as Tuscan rhyme, and her young hunter with his sombre plume. For dynasties, though passing bells be tolled, theirs is the midmost ecstasy of June, her music, her imperishable moon, while time that elsewhere is so rough and cold, like a soft child, flower plucking all forenoon, gathers the ages from this garden old. Calm housemates with them in their forest lone, do freedom, innocence, and joy abide, and I, as one who into heaven hath died, through mortal ways of melodious moan, the boatman sees at dusk from Arno's tide the everlasting lover with his own. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Serpent's Crown by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Scott Kelley. Said he, O diligent rover, brown under many a heaven, treasure and trophy you carry, spoils from the east to the west. Yet I fear that you passed it over. The chief climb out of the seven, my wonderland and my island, where the chance of a night is best. There from the black mid-forest, past hemlock guards in waiting, heard you not the legend? Where the wide sun winks at noon, on the rockways sharpest, hoarest, warily undulating, a star-dappled serpent hurries, with the odorous grace of June. Over her human forehead, reared among glens abysmal, glitters a crown gold gossamer, only a moment's arc, crosses the creature torrid, flexile, palpitant, prismal, then breaks on the earth, a terror spiraling into the dark. Every day and tomorrow, as the foreign old belfries tremble, with the hammer hard heels of noon. Just that instant, no more, no less, and the blue witch reptiles furrow her shapes dance to dissemble, and the barbed tongue tempts and entices, and the fire eyes acquiesce. Only she was a wily woman, whose glory the gods have finished, whose handcraft still in ruin, whose glee is to snare and kill, defier of spearmen and bowmen, her empery undiminished. But who can overcome her, shall bend the world to his will. Therefore the knights importune to spur through the jungle's fruity. Many a lad and a hunter and a dreamer there ventureth, for the king tends power and fortune to the slayer of that demon beauty, and awards him her crown, thrice charmed, whose captor can outwit death. I ride above storm and censor, and lord it over time and distance, in the maddening sweet assurance of bliss like a rose rain shed. All in a woodpath venture, a gallant alert resistance, and a stroke of the steel and circle about that exquisite head. A task for your young drilled muscle, but the other in soft duration answered him, Oh, I had once some wild schemes under my hat, some thrill for the same snake tussle, in the heirdom of life, Elysian. Long peace, long loving, long praises, but I've kindled and cooled on them. 10 years have I been a ranger. I have hewn all dread to the center. I have learned to swift our values. My soul is at rest and free. If that be your boon for danger, on a dull, safe youth to enter, thou may covet the Gordon, 'tis a poor enough thing to me. I choose, might I come in return so, to a cause, a friend, and a foeman, staunch to endure for the rest, but as a moth, or a marigold. Let the philosophers yearn so, the king bribe squire and yeoman. Not for my lease immortal, the serpent should be cajoled. To strike her down avenges her slain, but is evil ended? The fashion dies, the function abides, and has fresher scope. What is to be won? He cringes who would seize, were the choice extended. For the risk elsewhere of living, here only survival's hope. I would keep my lot mine purely, cast in with the men's forever. The transient tempest, sooner than the sybaritic calms, thou against the cobra, surely I would pit my soul's endeavor. Her crown, in its lonely meeting, I would scorn to take in alms. Rather than ease unshaken, durance that sloth unhallows, once and for all, and honor, an end. What's the forfeit crown? If the chance of my short term taken run plump on the axe or the gallows, so my brother's fetter be loosened, or one tyrant trampled down? Why, see, this diadem's pleasure a Turk might sigh to inherit. Heartbeats thrumming, a torpid and solitary chair. No call to arms, no measure of progress. Well, let him wear it, unquestioned. I spurn the bauble when I killed your snake last year. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Moustache by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Scott Kelley. A friendless pup that heard the fife sprang to the column through the clearing, and went on to Switzerland in strife, went grenadiering. Much he endured, and much he dared. The long, hot doomsday of the nations. He wore a trooper's scars. He shared a trooper's rations. Warned pickets, seized the Austrian spies, bore the dispatchers through the forces, from fallen riders, prompt and wise, led back the horses. Served round the tents or in the van, quick-witted, tireless as a treadle. This private wins, said Marshal Lanes, ribbon and medal. Moustache, a brave French dog, it lay graven on silver, like a scholar's who's lost a leg on Jenna Day, but saved the colors. At Saragossa he was slain. They buried him and fired a volley. End of Moustache. Nay, that were strain, too melancholy. His immortality was won. His most of rapture came to bless him, when, plumbed and proud, Napoleon stooped to caress him. His emperor's hand upon his head. How, since shall lesser honors suit him? Yet ever, in that army's stead, love will salute him. And since not every cause enrolls such little, fond, sagacious henchmen, write this dog's moral on your scrolls, soldiers and Frenchmen. As law is law, can be no waste of faithfulness, of worth and beauty. Lord of all time, the slave is placed, who doth his duty. No virtue fades to thin romance, but heaven to use eternal molds it. Mark, some firm pillar on New France, Moustache upholds it. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Ranieri by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. Ranieri. To the lute Ranieri played, once beneath the jasmine shade, in a June bright bower imprisoned, many a Pisan beauty listened, velvet eyed, with head propped under her gold hair's uncoiffed wonder, like the rich sun blooded roses, whom the wind overtakes in poses of some marble still delight, on the dewy verge of night. Merrily and loud sang he, with the fairest at his knee, sky ringed in that garden nest. Who, save sorcerers, had guessed whither sylph and minstrel came from the awful archer's aim. Or that, glossy pined below, lay the city in her woe, for her sins, as it was written, desolate and fever-smitten. Apt Ranieri was, and young, love's persuasion on his tongue, and his high-erected glance softened into dalliance, laughed along its haughty level, foremost in all skill and revel, steeled against the laws that seemed monkish figments idly dreamed, early dipping his wild wing in the pools of rioting, with the moaning world shut out, with the damosels about, crimson girdled in the sun, regnant as if he were one for whom death himself was mute, so he sat and twanged his lute. Placid in her novice veil, Sister Claudia told the tale. When across the air of June, like a mist half risen at noon, or a fragrance barely noted, a Judean vision floated, who, midway of music's burst, pleadingly, as if athirst, long athirst, and long unsated, sighed Ranieri, sighed and waited. Ah, the prodigal that heard fell to ashes at the word, but with broken murmurings, putting by the wreathed strings. From the safe and craven places, from the fond bewildered faces, trembling with the rush of thought, with contrition overwrought, at a royal gesture, down, straight to the dismantled town, girt with justice, chaste and tender, to all risks himself to render, of all sorrows rude and froward, to be prop and cure henceforward. By no lapse of irksome duty swerving from the only beauty, by no olden lure enticed, Saint Ranieri followed Christ. Said the little nun, Amen, Christ who calleth, now as then. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. St. Cadoc's Bell by Louise Imogen Guiney. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. St. Cadoc's Bell. 1. Sailor, with wonder thou hearest me, moored where the roots of thine anchor be, tolling and wailing, bursting and failing, afar in the heart of the sea. A bell was I of pagan lands, forged and welded in might and beauty, but captured by Christian chivalry, and set in a belfry by godly hands, with chrisms and benedictions 3, for a fourfold consecrated duty. To summon to pray, to peal for the fray, to measure the hours, to moan for the dead, to moan for the dead, ah me, where the wild gold parasites suck and spread, where the sea flower rears her dreamy head, in the grots of immortality the cool weird singing mermaids dwell in the still city with its empurpled air, shaken upon the eye from bastions fair, of coral and pearl, and unbought jaspers glisten. I toll and wail, I burst and fail, ah, listen! I, the holy bell, the gift of the Lord Llewellyn, now the keel of a Cornish ship looms over my prison, call from the underworld, in mine old despair. 2. They brought me in my virgin fame to the carven minster wonder high, close to the glorious sun and sky, with song and jubilee and acclaim. The fountains brimming with wine sprayed out on the crowd, in the chapel porches the viols and harps clanged loud, and the slim maids danced a solemn measure, ever and aye the same, singing, Behold, we hang our bell in the freedom of spring, in the golden weather, the gift of the Lord Llewellyn, redeemed from heathenry and strange shame, the lion-strong bell for our service at last led hither, flower-woven, caressed, and in Christ made willing and tame. But ere the pleased stir of the people had died, Llewellyn, fresh home from the wars, with his soldierly stride, climbed, bearded and splendid in mail, and his only young child held up from his shoulder in sight of them all, till they cried peal on peal of delight when the rosy babe turned, and her lip laid sweetly upon me in benison mild. Yea, sailor, and thou that hearest my voice from thy ship, thou knowest my sorrow's beginning, thou knowest, ah me, whence my tolling and wailing, my breaking and failing, afar in the heart of the sea. 3. I served the Lord 10 years and a day in St. Cadoc's church by the surging bay, and housed with the gathering webs and must mid whirring of velvety wings outside, in calm and in wind brooding over the tide, and the bright massed roofs and the crags' array, my strong life, innocent and just, fell of a sudden to ashes and dust, and on my neck hotly the demon laid the bare rod of his sway. How it befell, I know not yet. Sailor, with wonder thou hearest me, save that a passionate sharp regret, an exile's longing, overmastered not, seared thought like a pestilential spot, and sent my daydreams traitorously back to the place where my life began, to the long blue mornings, blown and wet, to the pyre by the sacred rivulet, and the chanting Cappadocian. No more a Christian belle was I, for all became, which seemed so good, vile thraldom in my bitter mood that thrust the old conformance by. Sullen and harsh to the acolyte I answered of a Sabbath night, and sprang on the organ's withdrawing peal to shatter its pomp like a charge of steel. The good monks puzzled and prayed, I trow, but against their heaven I set my brow. 4. To me by the ancient triple-roped lone tortuous stair, whereby I made a tingling silence, a heavy concentric shade, the 12 years' child of the Lord Llewellyn groped. With May-wreath laden the loving strange child came, and my pulses that throbbed at sight of her 10 years gone, chilled and recoiled at her delicate finger-touch, guessing, along my brazen-wrought margin, the Lord and the blessing, traced through the vine, through the tangle of star and of sun, by her dead father's name, by Llewellyn's magnificent name. And even as she stood in the dark, the doom and the horror rushed on me. I had weakened my soul, and they won me. I felt the desire at my vitals, the unbearable joy that is pain. With one mad tigerish spring against the dim rafter, I smote the sweet child in my rage, I smote her with laughter, and a sound like the rain whirled east on the casement, died after. And I knew that the life in her brain I had quenched at a stroke, and flung even my darling of yore down the resonant, tottering stair, down, down to the sanctuary door. Then the swift hurricane, the clamouring army thronged up from below, my allegiance to claim. Lean goblins, brown-flecked like a toad, the gnomic horned ghosts, imps flickering, quarry sprites grim, all the din of the dolorous hosts, all the glory and glee of the cursed, hissed round me and round, as a flame. And they loosened my hold from the tower, and my hope from the hem of the garment of him who could save, as they jeered, and with speed crashed down past the rocks and the wrecks, and the horrible deed was done. I was theirs, and I gave up my spirit to them. 5. In a mossy minaret, fathoms under, I am set, all the sea shapes undulating at my gates forlorn are waiting, all the dreary faint-eyed people watch me in my hollow steeple, while the glass-clear city heaves oft beneath its earthy eaves. So in sorrow, 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 yester-even and to-morrow, through the aeons in a cell hangs St. Cadoc's loveless bell, orbit like a mortal's tear on the moony atmosphere, bearing the refrain of time, memory and unrest and crime. Thou that hast the world sublime, I that was free, I am lost, I am damned, I am here. And whenever a child among men by a blow is dead, docile foray, from the deeps must I lift my head, and from the heathen heart of me that breaks, the unextinguishable music wakes, naught availing, naught deterred. And the sailor heareth me, even as thou, alas, hast heard, fallen in awe upon thy knee, tolling and wailing, bursting and failing, afar in the ominous sea. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. A Chouan by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. A Chouan. From the school porch at Vannes, weaponed, the children ran. One little voice began, lark-like ascended. Treason is on the wing, black vows and menacing. March, boys! God save the king! Alio ended. Singing, with sunny head, battle-ward straight he led, stones for his captain's bed, herbs for his diet. He and his legion brave, trouble enough they gave, ere the blues bullets drave them into quiet. Spared with a few as bold, once the storm overrolled, Alio, 12 years old, crept from the clamour. Came when the days were brief to the old desk in grief, thumbing anew the leaf of the old grammar. Kings out, rang the chime. Kings in, answered time. In his ignoring clime, silent he studied. Till, ere his youth was done, for him, the chosen one, shepherd disclaimed of none, Aaron's rod budded. Long in unbroken round, peace on his paths he found, saw the glad Breton ground, husbanded, quarried. Blessed it, the record saith, all the years he had breath, till the dim 80th snowed on his forehead. President, Emperor, President, on the floor spake a sharp senator, widening his ranges. From Paris I impeach Vannes for disloyal speech, send thither troops to teach how the world changes. Down on the peasants then rode the Republic's men, trampling the corn again, miring the flowers. Hewed through the rebels nigh, scoffed at the women's cry, set the tricolour high on the church towers. Pale in his cot that day, dying, the pastor lay, where still his eye could stray up valleys gleaming. Watchers were at his side, prayer unto prayer replied. Hush! What was that he spied, pinnacles streaming? Nothing was he aware, in his deaf Breton air, so great traditions there throve unforgotten. That by a final chance, kings all were led a dance, long since in fickle France, sceptres were rotten. Sprang the old lion, still, live with prodigious will, to his stone casement sill, foolish and true one. Snatched up the blade he bore, rough with its rust of yore, kissed it, a saint no more, only a Chouan. Barred from the charging mass, in the choked market pass, all he could do, alas, now, was to clang it. Nay more, God save the king, with a last clarion ring, shot ere he ceased to sing, Alio sang it. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Youth by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Schempf. Let us hymn thee for our silent brothers, freely as the wild impellent wind blows. Briefly, rudely, in the smoky pauses of a battle, in the stress and scourging of the sail apast thy heavenly margin. Let us hymn thee while the gallant pulses in high heart and limbs one kingliest instant boom and flash thy name and their allegiance. Once, and for one only, let us hymn thee. O delight, O sunrise, O sole answer, empery unbought, supreme adventure, youth, ah, youth, all men's desire and sorrow. Let us hymn thee, we, the passing, dying, out of bondage by a vision lifted, since by chance sublime, in secret places, goddess, we, Actaeon-like, have seen thee, though our voice as a spent eagle's voice is. Let us hymn thee while the doom is forging, holding, losing, through one first last moment, one mad moment worth dull life forever. Triumphing in anguish, let us hymn thee. Thine, beholden beauty, thine this heartbreak, thine, O hope forsworn, this salutation. Youth, ah, youth, all men's desire and sorrow. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Last Faun by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Schempf. How hath he stumbled hither in search of love and praise, a tardy comer and goer across the world's highways, a kind shape from the thicket, a wanderer all his days. He finds a rocky seat where the moiling town recedes. The altered shepherds flout him, but oh, he little heeds. Incredulous, he swings there and drones upon his reeds. He stamps his cloven heel and he laughs adown the wind, with eye that wanes and waxes at doings of mankind. Slow, slow creeps the invader upon that happy mind. The apple breasts his fellow, doves wheel by 2 and 3, and ever dance in circle the shallops on the sea. The goats and deer are many, but playmate none hath he, nor nymph nor child to follow upon his signals rude. He smiles, there is no frolic. He snarls, there is no feud. He feels his poor heart sinking at every interlude. His shaggy ear, and freakish, resents the wail and din. Earth's rumors chill his veins with their ghostly gliding in. He aches to slip these tethers, and be where he hath been. Elsewhere is waking glory, and here the dream, the thrall. Hush! Hear the sunless waters, the wrestling leaves that call. He lops the grass and whistles, and while he cheats them all. Obey is gone, gone wholly, from alien air too cold. The faun, with garlands flying, with sylvan ditties trolled, being homesick, being patient, regains his greenwood old. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Nights of Weather by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Melanie T. When down the filmy lanes the too wise sun goes grieving, a wake of splendour leaving, up billowed from the ground. When at the window panes the hooded chestnuts rattle, and there is clash of battle, New England's oaks around. O then we nights of weather, we birds of sober feather, fill up the woods with revel that summer's pomp is slain, and make a mighty shouting for King October's outing, the Saracen October, astride the hurricane. When dappled butterflies have crept away to cover, and one persistent plover is coaxing from the fen, when apples show the skies their bubbly lush vermilion, and from a rent pavilion laugh down on maids and men. O then we nights of weather, we birds of sober feather, fill up the woods with revel that summer's pomp is slain, and make a mighty shouting for King October's outing, the Saracen October, astride the hurricane. When pricks the winey air, when o'er the meadows clamber cloud masonries of amber, when brooks are silver clear, when conquering colours dare the hills and cliffy places to hold with braggart graces high wassail of the year. O then we knights of weather, we birds of sober feather, fill up the woods with revel that summer's pomp is slain, and make a mighty shouting for King October's outing, the Saracen October, astride the hurricane. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Daybreak by Louise Imogen Guiney, read for LibriVox.org by Melanie T. The young sun rides the mists anew, his cohorts follow from the sea. Let Aztec children shout and sue, the Persian lend a thankful knee. Those glad auroral eyes shall beam not anywhere henceforth on me. Up with the banners on the height, set every matin bell astir. The tree-top choirs carouse in light, the dews on phlox and lavender. Our mockery for worlds away, the heart of morning beats with her. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
On Some Old Music by Louise Imogen Guiney, read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. To lie beside a stream upon the sod at ease, while weary shepherds homeward plod, and feel benignly by, as daylight mellows, the mountains in their weathering period. Ay, so with silence shod to lie in depth of grass with man's meek fellows, the cattle large and calm, aware of God. And keen as if to flesh the spirit sprang, oh, but to hear that silvern clang of young hale melody, and hither rally the thrill, the aspiration, and the pang again as once it rang, sovereign and clear through all the Saco valley, whose slaves were we that heard, and he that sang. Happy the spot, the hour, the spanning strain, precious and far the rainbows of the rain, the seal of patience, dark endeavor's summing, the heavens bright close of Pergolese's pane. Sighs bid it back in vain, nor win its peer, till craftsmen after coming lost art, lost heart, from shipwrecked years regain. How like an angel it effaced the crime, the moil and the heat of our tempestuous time, and brought from dewier air to us who waited the breath of peace and healing breath sublime. As falls at midnight's chime to an old pilgrim plodding on belated, the thought of love's remote sunshining prime. There flits upon the wind's wing as we gaze our northern springtime, virgin green these days, the racy water shallowing the glory of jonquils strewn and wafted apple sprays. O let it be thy praise, child song, too lovely and too transitory. Thou art as they, thy feet have gone their ways. O beauty unassailable, O bride of memory, while yet thou didst abide, the yester joy was ours, the joy tomorrow, life's brimming whole, and since to earth denied, soft ebbed the dreamy tide. To us the first, the full, the only sorrow, wild as when Abel out of Eden died. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Late Peace by Louise Imogen Guiney, read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. As a pool beset with lilies in the May-green copses hid, far from wayfarers and wrongers, clangors, rumors, disillusions, neighbored by the wild grape only, by the hemlock's dreamy host, by the Rhodian nightingale, O remote, remote, O lonely, so thy life is. Whence and wherefore is it never peace may be co-dweller with my lakelet, too beloved and too sheltered, that, secure from broil of cities, from a secret regnant spring, to its own wild depth awakening, makes but moaning and resistance, undiminishable protest, mimicking with pain and fury of humanity the struggle, fretting, foaming, pacing ever round and round its fragrant cloister, all within itself perplexed, every heart vein bruised but eager, and its clear soul doubt o'erladen, 'neath the stirred and floating foulness, long abased, long dumb, ah, long? So thy life is. Comes the respite, comes the guerdon, the perfect truce arrives in the honey-dropping twilight, the south-westering pallid sunshine, the Magian clouds of fire. The mooring galleon wind, at whose spell, potent daily, the lulled water is beguiled back to saneness, back to sweetness. All its arrowing, hissing atoms gather from the chase forsaken, the sphered galaxies of bubbles, fragments, motes, the lees unrestful, disunite as to heard music, like weird dancers from their wreathings, each to its cool grotto swaying, till there follows on their fervor depth and crystal clarity. So thy life is, so thy life, darkling to beatitude, shaken in the saving change, and the spirit made wise, not weary, by the throes that youth endureth. When old age falls, evening placid, on the mystery unriddled, yet in empire, yet in honor, in submission not ignoble, glistens to a central quiet, leal to the most lovely moon. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. To a Young Poet by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. Sigh not to be remembered, dear, nor for time's fickle graces strive. Vex not thy spirit's songful cheer with the sick ardor to survive. But be content, thou quick bright thing, awhile than lasting stars more fair, a lone high flashing skylark's wing across obliterating air. O rich in immortality! Not thee fame's graven stones benight, but ever to some world-worn eye, all heaven is bluer for thy flight. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
De Mortuis by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. De Mortuis. The skillfulest of mankind, so praise him, reckoning by shot in the seagull's wing, by doubts in boyhood's mind. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Downstream by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. Downstream. Scarred hemlock roots, oaks in male, and willow shoots, spring's first nighted, clinging aspens grouped between, slender misty green, faintly affrighted. Far hills behind, sombre growth with sunlight lined on their edges, banks hemmed in with maidenhair, and the straight and fair phalanx of sedges. Wee wings and eyes, wild blue gemmy dragonflies, fearless rangers, drowsy turtles in a tribe, diving with a jibe muttered at strangers. Wren, bobolink, robin at the grassy brink, great frogs jesting, and the beetle, for no grief, half across his leaf, sighing and resting. In the keel's way, unwithdrawing bream at play, till from branches, chestnut blossoms, loosed aloft, graze them with their soft, full avalanches. This is very odd, boldly sings the river god, pilgrim rowing, from the Hyperborean air, wherefore, and oh where, should man be going? Slave to a dream, me no urgings and no theme can embolden. Now no more the oars swing back, drip, dip, till black waters froth golden. Musketaquid, I have loved thee all unbid, earliest, longest, thou hast taught me thine own thrift, here I sit and drift, where the wind's strongest. If, furthermore, there be any pact ashore, I forget it. If upon a busy day beauty make delay, once over, let it. Only, despite thee who wouldst unnerve me quite, like a craven, best the current be not so, heart and I must row into our haven. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Indian Pipe by Louise Imogen GUINEY, read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. The Indian Pipe, to R.L.S. Your bays shall all men bring, and flowers the children strew you. Once, as I stood in a thick west wood, I took from a fissure a precious thing, the homage whereof be to you. A thing pearl pale, yet stung with fire as the morning's beam is, hid underground through a solar round, hardy and fragile, antique and young, more exquisite than a dream is. No rose had so bright birth, no gem of romance surpassed it, by a minstrel knight for his maid's delight, born from the moon-burnt marge of the earth where Paynim breakers cast it. Rude named, memorial, quaint, the dews and the darkness mould it. Scarce twice in an age is our heritage, this glory and mystery without taint. Dear Stevenson, do you hold it a text of grace? Ah, much beyond what the praising throngs say. Only your art is its peer at heart. Only your touch is a wonder such my wild little loving song says. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Brook Farm by Louise Imogen GUINEY, read for LibriVox.org by Melanie T. Down the long road bent and brown, youth that dearly loves a vision, ventures to the gates Elysian, as a palmer from the town. Coming not so late, so far, rocks and birches for your story, nor to prate of vanished glory, where of old was quenched a star, where of old in lapse of toil, time that has for weeds a dower, bade the supersensual flower starve in our New England soil. But to youth whose radiant eyes shatter mists of grief and daunting, lost glad voices still are chanting 'neath those unremaining skies. Still the dreams of fellowship beat their wings of aspiration, and a smile of soft elation trembles from his haughty lip. If another dare deride hope's heroic snapped and parted, disillusion so high-hearted, all success is mean beside. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
My Times Are in Thy Hands by Louise Imogen GUINEY, read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. My times are in thy hands. My times are in thy hands. It rumbles from the sea, It jingles ever, inland far, from the reddening rowan tree. Let me not sit inert, let me not be afraid. Teach me to dare and to resist, like the first mortal maid, to whom of fate's dread strength no sickening rumours ran, who with whatever grim event grappled as man with man. Seal to my utmost age what now my youth has known. My times are in thy hands, O most, when wholly in my own. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Garden Chidings by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Melanie T. The spring being at her blessed carpentry, this morning makes a stem, this noon a leaf, and jewels her sparse greenery with a bud. Fostress of happy growth is she. But thou, O too disdainful spirit, or too shy, passive dost thou inhabit, like a mole, the porch elect of darkness, for thy trade is underground, a barren industry, shivering true ardour on the nether air, shaping the thousandth tendril, and all year webbing the silver nothings to and fro. What wonder if the gardener think thee dead, when every punctual neighbour root now goes adventurously skyward for a flower. Up, laggard, climb thine inch, thyself fulfil. Thou only hast no sign, no pageantry, save these fine gropings. Soon from thy small plot the seasonable sunshine steals away. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Frédéric Ozanam by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. Frédéric Ozanam. Unto the constant heart, whom saints befriend, afar in peace, what were our gaudy praise? His course is ended, and his faith is kept. Honour in silence to that memory, sweet, equally in the forum of the schools and in the sufferer's hovel. His threefold, the lowliness of Esai's chosen son, and zeal that fired the warring Maccabee. About him, like a wedding garment, worn the day of his acceptance, and we know that for the sake of some such soul as this, so brave, so clean, compassionate and just, alert in its most meek security, love beareth yet with all that stains the world. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Bankrupt by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. Past the cold gates, a wraith without a name, sullen and withered like a thing half tame, still for its jungle moaning, came by night before the judgment's awful angel came. Answer, immortal, at my high decree glory or shame shall flood thee as the sea. What of the power, the skill, the graciousness, the star-strong soul the Lord hath lent to thee? But the lone spectre raised a mournful hand. Call me not that, release me from this land. What words are heaven and hell? They fall on me as on a sphere the fooled in slipping sand. Discerning thou the good mayst yet belie, by some last test the sinner sanctify. My guilt is neutral safe, like innocence. No boon nor bane of deathless days gain I, whose life is hollow shell and broken bowl, of all which was its treasury, the whole utterly, vilely squandered. O most just, Put down thy scales, for I have spent my soul. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Reason for Silence by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. A Reason for Silence. You sang, you mountain brook, scarce by your tangly banks held in, as running from a rocky nook you leaped the world, the sea to win. Sun bright past many a foamy crook, and headlong as a javelin. Now men do check and still your course, to serve a village enterprise, and wheelward drive your sullen force. What wonder, slave, that in no wise breaks from you, pulled mid reeds and gorse, the voice you had in paradise? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Temptation by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. Temptation. I come where the rye road leads, through the pines and the alder scents, sated of books, with a start sharp on the gang today. Scarce see the Romany steeds, scarce hear the flap of the tents, when, hillo, my heart is out of its leash and away. Gypsies, gypsies, the whole tatterdemalion crew, brown and sly and severe, with curious trades in hand. A string snaps in my soul, the one high answer due if an exile chance to hear the songs of his fatherland. To be abroad with the rain, and at home with the forest hush, with the crag and the flower urn and the wan sleek mist upcurled. To break the lens and the plane, to burn the pen and the brush, and clean and alive return into the old wild world. How is it, O wind that bears the arrow from its mark, the sea-bird from the sea, the moth from his midnight lamp? Fate's self, thou mocker of prayers, whirl up from the mighty dark, and even so, even me, blow far from the gypsy camp. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
For a Child by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Schumann's Erinnerung, November 4th, 1847. In memory of dear Mendelssohn, the loving song I made, fain would I sing for you, my own, but that I am afraid, aye, truly, sore afraid, for sweet as was its every tone, once freed to mortal ears, in memory of dear Mendelssohn, the ghostly wand of tears would yet be strong to break my song through all these after years. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Aglaus by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. The ash hath no perfidious mind, the open fields are just and kind, though loves betray, I hear this way the feathery step of the faithful wind. Thorn-apple, bayberry, and rose around me talismanic close. The frosty flakes, the thunder quakes, are bulwarks twain of my year's repose. No struggle, no delight, no moan, but at my hearthstone I have known all thoughts that pass, as in a glass the gods have bared to me for mine own. Wisdom, the sought and unpossessed, hath of her own will been my guest. Not smoking feud, but quietude, my hearth hath chosen at her behest. This is of men the happiest man, who hath his plot Arcadian. Apollo cried, my gates beside, nor ever wanders beyond its span. Now, like my sheep, I seek the fold. My hair is shaken in the cold. The night is nigh, but ere I die, bear witness, brothers, that young and old, my name I wear without regret. The home keeper am I. And yet at every inn my feet have been, above all travellers I am set. Though ocean currents by me purled, the sails of my desire were furled. What pilgrims crave, 3 acres gave, and I, Aglaus, have seen the world. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. An Auditor by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Kachuk. Why chide me that mutely I listen? Ah, jester, for either thou knowest too much, or thou knowest not aught of this aching, vexed planet down-whirling. Thou knowest? Thy wit is but fortitude. Wouldst have me laugh in its presence? Thou knowest not? Laugh I can never, for innocence also is sacred. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Water Text by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Kachuk. Watching my river marching overland, by mighty tides transfigured and set free. My river, lapped in idle-hearted mirth, made at a touch a glory to the earth, and leaving, wheresoever falls his hand, the balm and benediction of the sea. O soon, I know, the hour whereof we dreamed, the saving hour, miraculous, arrives, when, ere to darkness winds our sordid course, some glad, new, potent, consecrating force shall speed us, so uplifted, so redeemed, along the old worn channel of our lives. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Cyclamen by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Kachuk. On me through joy's eclipse and inward dark first fell thy beauty like a star new lit. To thee my carol now, albeit no lark hath for thy praise a throat too exquisite. Oh, would that song might fit these harsh north slopes for thine inhabiting, or shelter lend thy loveliest laggard wing, thou undefiled estray of earth's o'er-vanished spring. Here is the sunless clime, the fallen race, down our green dingles is no peer of thee. Why art thou such, dear outcast, who hadst place with shrine and bower and olive silvery peaked islets in mid-sea? Thou seekest thine Achaean dews in vain, and osierd nooks jocose at summer's wane. with gossip spirit fine of chill and widening reign. Thou wert among Thessalia's hoofy host, their radiant shepherd stroked thee with a sigh, when falchioned Perseus spied the Ethiop coast, unto his love's sad feet thy cheek was nigh, and all thy blood beat high with woodland Rhecus at the brink of bliss. Thy leaf the Naiad plucked by Thyamis, and she, the straying maid, the bride beguiled of Dis. These are gone. The air is wan and cold. The choric gladness of the woods is fled. But thou, dove-like, wrapped in memories old, inclinest to the ground thy fragile head, in ardor and in dread. Searcher of yesternight, how wilt thou find in any dolven isle or cavern blind, in any ocean hall, the glory left behind? June's butterfly, poised o'er his budded sweet, is scarce so quiet-winged betimes as thou. Fail twilight's thrill and noonday's wavy heat to kiss the fever from thy downcast brow. Ah, cease that vigil now! No west nor east thine unhoused vision keeps, nor yet in heaven's pale purpureal deeps of worlds unnavigate the dream of childhood sleeps. Flower of the joyous realm, thy rivers lave their once proud valleys with forgetful moan. Thy kindred nod on many a trodden grave among Marmorian altars overthrown. For thou art left alone, alone and dying, duped for love's extreme. Hope not, thy Greece is over as a dream. Stay not, but follow her down time's star-lucent stream. Less art thou of the earth than of the air, a frail, outshaken splendor of the morn. Dimmest desire, the softest throb of prayer, impels thee out of bondage to thy bourne. Ere thou art half forlorn, farewell, farewell, for from thy golden stem thou slippest like a wild enchanter's gem. Swift are the garden ghosts, and swiftest thou of them. Yea, speed thy freeborn life, no doubts debar, O blossom breath of that which was delight. In cooling whirl and undulation far, the wind shall be thy bearer all the night through ether trembling white, and I that clung with thee, as exiles may, whose too slight roots in every zephyr sway, thy little soul salute along her homeward way. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. A Passing Song by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Where thrums the bee and the honeysuckle hovers, gather, golden lasses, to a roundelay. Dance, dance, yokefellows and lovers, headlong down the garden in the heart of May. Youth is slipping, dripping, pearl on pearl away. Dance! What if last year Winnie's cheek were rounder? Dance, though that foot-hal were nimbler yesterday. Spread the full sail, for soon the ship must founder. Flaunt the red rose, soon the canker-worm has sway. Youth is slipping, dripping, pearl on pearl, away. See the dial shifting, hear the night-birds calling. Dance, you starry striplings, round the fountain spray, with its mellow music out of sunshine falling, with its precious waters trickling into clay. Youth is slipping, dripping, pearl on pearl, away. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. In Time by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Her little dumb child, for whom hope was none, in any mind she watched from sun to sun, until 3 years her mighty faith had run. Then, in an agony of love, laid by the bright head from her breast, and went to lie 'neath cedarn shadows and the wintry sky, not having for her long desire and prayer one sign from those shut lips, so rosy fair it seemed all eloquence must nestle there. That day, to her near grave, through frost and sleet, he, following from his toys on truant feet, cried, "Mother, mother, joyous and most sweet." And as their souls ached in them at the word, the father lifted his new-wakened bird with one rapt tear, that now at last she heard. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Wild Ride by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. I hear in my heart, I hear in its ominous pulses, all day the commotion of sinewy, mane-tossing horses, all night from their cells the importunate tramping and neighing. Cowards and laggards fall back, but alert to the saddle, straight, grim, and abreast, vault our weather-worn galloping legion, with a stirrup-cup each to the one gracious woman that loves him. The road is through dolor and dread, over crags and morasses. There are shapes by the way, there are things that appall or entice us. What odds? We are knights, and our souls are but bent on the riding. I hear in my heart, I hear in its ominous pulses, all day the commotion of sinewy, mane-tossing horses, all night from their cells the importunate tramping and neighing. We spur to a land of no name, outracing the storm-wind. We leap to the infinite dark, like the sparks from the anvil. Thou leadest, O God, all's well with thy troopers that follow. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Light of the House by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Beyond the cheat of time, here where you died, you live. You pace the garden walks, secure and sensitive. You linger on the stair. Love's lonely pulses leap. The harpsichord is shaken. The dogs look up from sleep. Years after, and years after, you keep your heirdom still. your winning youth about you, your joyous force and skill, unvexed, unapprehended, with waking sense adored, and still the house is happy that hath so dear a lord. To every quiet inmate, strong in the cheer you brought, your name is as a spell, midway of speech and thought, and unto whoso knocks, an awestruck visitor, the sunshine that was you floods all the open door. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. A Last Word on Shelley by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Each ninth hierarchal wave, a league of sound, to phantom shreds the hostile crags confound, to wreck on wreck forlorn, the crags remain. Smile at the storm for our safe poet's sake. Not ever this ordained world shall break that mounting, foolish, foam-bright heart again. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Immunity by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Leaf of the deep-leaved holly tree, long spared the weather god's disdain, have not thy brothers borne for thee Junes in a veritable raging rain, and they are beautiful and hale, those sun-veined revellers. And thou, still crippled, still afraid and pale, sole discord of the singing bough. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Paula's Epitaph by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Go you by with gentle tread. This was Paula, who is dead. Eyes dark lustrous to the look, as a leaf pavilioned brook. Voice upon the ear to cling, sweeter than the cithern string, whose shy spirit unaware, loosed into refreshful air, with it took for talisman, climbing past the starry van, names to which the heavens do ope, candor, chastity, and hope. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. John Brown, A Paradox by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Compassionate eyes had our brave John Brown, and a craggy, stern forehead, a militant frown. He, the storm bow of peace. Give him volley on volley, the fool who redeemed us once of our folly, and the smiter that healed us, our right John Brown. Too vehement, verily, was John Brown, for waiting is statesmanlike. His the renown of the holy rash arm, the equipper and starter of freedmen. Aye, call him fanatic and martyr, he can carry both halos, our plain John Brown. A scandalous stumbling block was John Brown, and a jeer. But ah, soon from the terrified town, in his bleeding track made over hilltop and hollow, wise armies and councils were eager to follow, and the children's lips chanted, "Our lost John Brown." Star-led for us, stumbled and groped John Brown, star-led in the awful morasses to drown, and the trumpet that rang for a nation's upheaval, from the thought that was just through the deed that was evil, was blown with the breath of this dumb John Brown. Bared heads and a pledge unto mad John Brown. Now the curse is allayed, now the dragon is down, now we see clear enough, looking back at the onset, Christianity's flood tide and chivalry's sunset, in the old broken heart of our hanged John Brown. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. April Desire by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. While in these spacious fields is my sojourn, needs must I bless the blossomy outbreak of earth's pent beauty, and for old love's sake, trembling, the bees oncoming chant discern. Hail the rash hyacinth, the ambushed fern, high-bannered boughs that green defiance make, and watch from sheathing ice the brave spring take her broad, bright river blade. Ah, then, in turn, long hushed forces stir in me. I feel all the most sharp unrest of the young year. Fain would my spirit, too, like idling steel, be snatched from its dull scabbard for a strife with cold oppressions, straightway, if not here, in consummated freedom, ampler life. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Twofold Service by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Champions of men with brawny fist and lung, you righteous, with eyes oped and utterance terse, whose greed of energies would fain disperse ere any mould be cast or roundel sung. Your gentler brothers, still at play among the smirch and jangle of the universe, mere fool-blind trespassers for you to curse. The Sabbath breakers, the unchristened young, peace, these too know. These are as ye employed, nor of laborious help and value void. Living, who, faithful to their fellows' need, fling life away for truth, art, fatherland, like a gold largesse from a princely hand, without one trading thought of heavenly meed. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. In the Gymnasium by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. I lean against a pillar in the sun, the sandals loose on mine arrested feet, while from their paths orbicular the fleet slim racers drop like stars. O loveliest one, lender of sixfold wings the while I run, whose tortoise lyre saves yet for me its sweet Selenic suasions old. To thy dim seat, glory and grace, the votive rites are done. Thy sole rememberer honey hath, nor palm, libation none, nor lamb to lead to thee. Ah, Maia's son, once God and once I living, here stood thy shrine, here chants my heart in calm, sad as the centralmost weird waves at sea. Hermes, thy last June paean and thanksgiving. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. A Salutation by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. High-hearted Surrey, I do love your ways. Venturous, frank, romantic, vehement, all with inviolate honor sealed and blent to the axe edge that cleft your soldier bays. I love your youth, your friendships, whims and phrase, your strict sweet verse with its imperious bent, heard as in dreams from some old harper's tent, and stirring in the listener's brain for days. Good father poet, if to-night there be at Framlingham none save the north wind's sighs, no guard but moonlight's crossed and trailing spears, smile yet upon the pilgrim named like me, close at your gates, whose fond and weary eyes sought not one other down 300 years. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. At a Symphony by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Oh, I would have these tongues oracular dip into silence, tease no more, let be. They madden like some choral of the free, gusty and sweet against a prison bar. To earth the boast that her gold empires are, the menace of delicious death to me. Great undesign, strong as by God's decree, piercing the heart with beauty from afar. Music too winning to the sense forlorn, of what angelic lineage was she born? Bred in what rapture? These her sires and friends. Censure, denial, gloom, and hunger's throe. Praised be the spirit that through thee, Schubert, so wrests evil unto holy, heavenly ends. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Sleep by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Schempf. O glorious tide, O hospitable tide, on whose moon-heaving breast my head hath lain, lest I, all eased of wounds and washed of stain through holy hours, be yet unsatisfied. Loose me betimes, for in my soul abide urgings of memory, and exile's pain weighs on me, as the spirit of one slain may throb for the old strife wherein he died. Often and evermore across the sea of dark and dreams to fatherlands of day, O speed me, like that outworn king erewhile from kind Phaeacia shoreward borne. For me, thy loving healed Greek, thou too shall lay beneath the olive boughs of mine own isle. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Atoning Yesterday by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. The Atoning Yesterday. Ye daffodilian days, whose fallen towers shielded our paradisal prime from ill, fair past, fair motherhood, let come what will, we, being yours, defy the anarch powers. For us the happy tidings fell in showers enjewelling the wind from every hill. We drained the sun against the winter's chill, our ways were barricadoed in with flowers. And if from skiey minsters now unhoused, earth's massy workings at the forge we hear, the black roll of the congregated sea, and war's live hoof, oh yet, last year we were the lark-lulled shepherdlings that drowsed, grave deep, at noon, in grass of Arcady. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Russia Under the Tsars by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. Russia Under the Tsars. Of thraldom and the accursed diadem in that vast snowland shout the passionate tale. Touch greybeards in the mart, bid braggarts quail, and rouse the student lone from his old phlegm, to breathe the self-same sacred air with them. Spirits supreme, our brothers, whose avail is sacrifice, nay, make no woman's wail, Rome is reborn, whom kings dare not contemn. On Neva's shore street, though high blood be spent, there this lorn world's renascent hopes are meeting. In camp is Mucius, at the bridge Horatius, Regulus walks in gyves magnificent, and thence men hear, O sound sublime and gracious, the unquelled heart of Caesar's Brutus beating. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Four Sonnets from La Vita Nuova by Louise Imogen GUINEY. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. Four Sonnets from La Vita Nuova. 1. Io mi senti svegliar dentro allo core. Within my bosom, from long apathy, love's mood of tenderness extreme awoke, and spying him far off, mine eye bespoke love's self, so joyous scarce it seemed he, crying, now verily pay thy vows to me, and bright through every word his smile outbroke. Then stood we twain, I in my liege lord's yoke, watching the path he came by, soon to see the Lady Joan and Lady Beatrice, nearing our very nook, each marvel close following her peer, all beauty else above. And love said, in a voice like memory's, the first is spring, but she that with her goes, my counterpart, bears my own name of love. 2. Tanto gentile e tanto onesta pare. So chaste, so noble looks that lady mine, saluting on her way, that tongues of some are mute a tremble, and the eyes that clomb high as her eyes, abashed, their gaze decline. Through perils of heard praise she moves benign, armored in her own meekness, as if come hither from heaven, to give our Christendom even of a miracle the vouch divine. So with beholders doth her worth avail, it sheds, through sight, a sweetness on the soul. Alas, how told to one that felt it never? And from her presence seemeth to exhale a breath half solace and of love the whole, that saith to the bowed spirit, sigh forever. 3. Era venuta nella mente mia. There came upon my mind remembrances of my lost lady, who for her reward is now set safe by heaven's most highest Lord, in kingdoms of the meek, where Mary is. And love, whose own are her dear memories, called to the sighs in my heart's wreckage stored. Go, whereby outwardly with one accord, not having ever other vent than this, plaining athwart my breast they flock to air, with speech that, oft recalled, draws unaware the darkened tears into my mournful eyes, and those that came in greatest anguish thence sang, O most glorious intelligence, thou art 1 year this day in paradise. 4. De peregrini che pensosi andante. Ye pilgrims, who with pensive aspect go, thinking perhaps of bygone things and dear, come you from lands so far from here as unto us who watch your port would show? For that you weep not outright, filing slow through the mid-highway of this city drear, you even as gentle stranger folk appear, who of the common sorrow nothing know. Would you but linger, would you but be told, pledge with its thousand sighs my soul doth give, that you, likewise, should travel on heart-broken. Ah, we have lost our Beatrice. Behold, what least soever word be of her spoken, the tears must follow now from all that live. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. End of The White Sail by Louise Imogen GUINEY.